Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP gets falsely accused of running a lumber smuggling racket. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. They accused me of lying, so I gave them exactly what they asked for in triplicate. I work at a lumber mill, and my job is pretty straightforward, at least it used to be. I'm the guy who processes all the unprocessed wood coming in or out of our yard, logs in, boards out, simple. Now, while most people just think of sawdust and big machines when they hear lumber mill, my role has a bit more complexity. I act as the go-between for the mill and the government. That means my actual responsibility is making sure anything the government cares about is accounted for and compliant. I don't care if Bob from Operation wants to take a few pallets out for a weekend bonfire, as long as nothing regulated leaves or enters the yard without proper documentation. My job's to keep the mill in the government's good graces, not to play warehouse watchdog. But all good things must come to an end. A few months ago, our company was bought out by a bigger fish, you know the type, shiny boots, pressed polos, and a corporate vocabulary full of synergy and optimization. They rolled in like they were going to revolutionize the lumber industry, armed with spreadsheets and suspicion. Almost immediately, they started accusing us of being sloppy, saying products were leaving the site without being recorded. Worse, they accused me of selling wood under the table and pocketing the profits. Me, the guy who reports to the government and has zero incentive to risk his neck for a few bucks of black market pine. But logic has no place in a power trip, apparently. So corporate genius number one sends me a shiny new directive. From now on, I must report everything coming into or out of the yard. Their words, not just the stuff the government cares about, not just the stuff I'm paid to manage. No, now I'm to document everything that passes through the yard gates. Every log, every pallet, every bird that farts near the fence. Okay, maybe not the last one, but it might happen. Well, I'm nothing if not cooperative. Starting that very day, I began keeping meticulous records. You want everything? Buckle up. Logs documented. Finished boards documented. Empty trucks entering to pick up loads documented. Employees arriving for shift change documented. Lunch deliveries documented. UPS guy dropping off printer toner? Yep, documented. Guy who missed the turn for the freeway and backed into our yard to turn around? Documented in triplicate with a timestamp. Oh, and all of it's done on physical paper forms. Digital records would be too convenient. Each form includes time of entry, time of exit, license plate, if applicable, description, destination, and a note about purpose of visit. I even started requesting signatures when possible, just for that extra sprinkle of authenticity. Our paper and ink usage, probably up 10 times, maybe more. I stopped keeping track when I needed to order my third box of black ink cartridges in a month. And here's the cherry on top. The same corporate manager who issued the document everything mandate is now responsible for reviewing my reports and cross-checking them against security footage. All of them. The poor guy went from lording over spreadsheets to squinting at security cam footage of a pizza delivery guy trying to make a U-turn. Last I heard, he's been quietly trying to reverse the policy, but of course if he admits it was a bad idea, that'd mean I was right, and he'd rather staple his tie to a belt sander than let that happen. So for now, we're both stuck in this paperwork purgatory. But it gets better. Other departments caught wind of my new reporting habits and, funny enough, started asking for copies of my logs. Turns out my hyper-detailed records make their reporting and inventory tracking way easier. One of the foremen even came by with a cup of coffee and said, "Whatever petty revenge you've got going on, keep it up. This is gold." So now I'm the guy who got accused of stealing and ended up improving internal documentation across 3 departments. I should put that on my next performance review. Corporate still hasn't reversed the policy. Maybe they will eventually, but until then, I'll be over here, clipboard in hand, logging every time a squirrel runs across the yard fence. Hey, you told me to document everything. If this rule gets changed, make sure to keep documenting things as you do now, because you're just so used to doing things this way now. And our second story. Entitled mom tried to adopt my dog from me while I was standing right there. So this happened to me a few months ago, just posting now because, quite frankly, I finally dealt with the circumstances. My older dog had to be put down, which sucked. Yeah. But I didn't feel right just throwing his stuff out, things like his harness, leash, travel kennel, etc. So I cleaned it all up and took it down to the local animal shelter. One of my younger dogs is in training to be an ESA for my wife, had his work harness and clear signage that he was in training, along with his name. He's also an alumni of this particular animal shelter, so I took him along while I was dropping my older dog's stuff off. Younger dog, being in ESA training, is very sociable and likes to say hi to everyone, especially kids. He loves kids, and they love him. This particular child, however, was probably too young to read the Ask to Pet badges on his harness, however. I doubt his mother was, though. Fred, my younger dog, however, willingly breaks the rules if it means he gets FaceTime with a kiddo, so I interrupt, make Fred sit, then release him to get loved on. While I was talking to one of the shelter workers about my older dog, Mother interrupts and asks for an adoption form. Okay, cool. That's what shelters are for. I didn't immediately realize she was talking to me because of having my attention split between the shelter worker, my dog, and, well, her kid. Shelter worker, who'd you pick? Mom, this one. Points at Fred. Think he's too old to change his name? SW, panicked look at me. Man, this is my dog. I only brought him along because we got him here about a year ago. Mom, well, you brought him back. I want to adopt him. SW, he's not surrendering his dog. He was bringing in some donations. Mom, angry glare at both of us. You shouldn't have non-adoptable animals in a shelter. Now the kid's crying because his mother assumed anything with 4 legs was fair game and told him they could take my dog home. She snaps. See what you did? I hope you're happy. Stomps out, damn near forgetting her own crying child. Note, Fred is my first attempt at training in ESA, though I do have long experience with hunting and general obedience training, but I think I'm doing okay. This is the second time someone's gotten pissy with me because I wouldn't let them adopt or buy Fred. Edit. Yes, I'm well aware of the differences between a service animal and an emotional support animal. Fred is not trained, certified, or badged as a service animal when he's in his harness, nor do I attempt to pass him as one. I know the people that do a great disservice to those that actually need their service animals. He only goes pet-friendly places with us. I've had long experience training and handling dogs with a number of jobs. Fred's simply to be a comfort and companion. His work harness simply is to put him in good manners mode because he's still very young and a pretty high-energy, high-intelligence dog. Left to his own devices, well, there's a reason I occasionally call him a damned dingo. And our next story. Mistook ghostly apparition for my boss. This was 4 years ago. I work in caregiving in what's called an ISL for the intellectual mentally disabled population. I do everything from cooking, medication distribution, grocery shopping, basic housekeeping, adult diaper changing, bathing, etc. I'm a glorified nanny, and we staff are sometimes the only family they've got. Management was iffy, and the office management were brutal. They have what's called pop-ins, where management can come up unannounced to see how we're doing. This helps against theft of meds, money, abusing the disabled, etc. The company can send any manager anytime, and all doors are unlocked/open overnight. Where I work, it was this beautiful 5-bedroom home. Open concept, upstairs bedrooms, then 2 downstairs. It was nice. It even had a visiting room. I wish I had a house as nice as this one. On to my story. I was working a long shift. I was in my 11th hour in, but I was fully awake and conscious. I started my day at 9 a.m., and when this happened, it was 10 p.m. I wasn't that tired. I've worked longer, harder, and I wasn't always on my feet. I was in the visiting room taking a break with my shoes off watching YouTube videos. My female coworker was in the living room laying down watching TV. Our individuals/people we support were all asleep. There were 4. Down the spiral stairs in a mostly dark house comes this younger male, thin, aged between 18 and 24. His hair is neat, and he passes by the guest room and said, "Hello," like he did it on a regular basis. I'd been looking down on my phone and almost didn't catch it. I was thinking, oh crap. I scrambled to put my shoes on, put my phone away, and got up to see where this random pop-in manager went. He'd gone down the hallway, but I didn't want to wake the individuals sleeping in their rooms. Managers were required to check on them upon arrival, so that's what I thought he was doing. I couldn't find him anywhere, so I asked my other coworker where the pop-in manager went. She must have seen him because I would have heard him walk in the front door. The back door was visible to my coworker when she was in the living room. Like I said, open concept. She was confused. What manager? We searched the house and I told her what I saw. This dude didn't match any description of any of our individuals, and he essentially vanished down the hallway that had no alternative back door. The only explanation I have is it was a ghostly apparition. My coworker laughed at me after this. I'd resigned shortly and moved to a different company after for unrelated reasons. Maybe this spirit sensed I was leaving and wanted to give me a farewell? I'm not sure, but I swear to God I saw a guy from the corner of my vision walk down a flight of stairs and down the hall like he was a pop-in manager. We would have heard him enter either the front or back, but we didn't. Thanks for reading. And our last story. Do something about it. So I live at the end of a narrow, privately owned lane in upstate New York. Think single-lane gravel road, zero through traffic, the kind of place you only end up on if you meant to be there. The road's less than 1,000 feet long, maybe 12 feet wide in spots, and has a big old private way, no trespassing, resident parking only sign posted clearly at the entrance. Multiple signs, actually, because apparently one isn't enough to stop the willfully ignorant. Anyway, I own the last house on the lane, and across from it is a paved pull-in area that's mine. It's not public parking in front of my house. It's deeded, it's surveyed, it's on the plat map, and I personally dropped over $10,000 getting it repaved and leveled. I maintain it for my car, my guests, and my tenants. This matters. So a few months ago, I'm heading home, and I end up behind a ratty old silver Subaru Legacy that turns onto my road. I figure they're either lost or visiting one of the folks a few houses back. Happens sometimes. But nope, they keep going. Keep passing all of the dirt pull-offs and driveways of the rental units and the rundown triplex, and then pull straight into my paved space across from my house. Now, I've dealt with confused delivery drivers and the occasional U-turner before, no biggie, but this wasn't that. The driver, a woman who I'll go ahead and call Karen, gets out of her car and starts marching right past me without a second glance. Window down, I say politely, "Excuse me, that's my spot. Mind moving your car?" Karen doesn't even slow down, just turns, smirks, and gives me the middle finger while shouting, "Do something about it." And let me tell you, I did. I texted the photo and license plate to my friend Josh, who owns the local towing company. His reply, "On my way." See, I've only ever towed 2 cars in the 26 years I've lived here. I don't do it lightly. I don't go hunting for drama. But if you roll past 5 signs, park on a deeded lot that you don't own, and flip off the actual owner when they ask you to move, you get exactly what you asked for. Josh shows up maybe 30 minutes later. Subaru's gone like a ghost in the night. 6 hours later, who's pounding on my front door? Yep, Karen. She's red-faced, screaming about how I stole her car. I told her to get off my property. She refused. Police were called. She got escorted off and warned not to come back. She did come back the next day. This time she got arrested. But here's where it gets good. The Subaru wasn't even hers. It belonged to her uncle, and she never once contacted the impound yard to retrieve it. Not a phone call, not an email, nothing. 50 days later and nearly $2,000 in fees racked up, her uncle walked into the impound yard, shrugged, and signed the title over. Didn't want to pay, just wanted it gone. And because Josh and I go way back and I just sold my old car, he offered to drop it off at my place to store until the new title came through. Within a week, it was sitting in the same spot Karen had so confidently claimed. She never got to see that part, but I sure enjoyed it. Oh, and just to be clear, I've asked dozens of people over the years to move if they parked in the wrong place. Always respectfully, always only if I absolutely had to. Nearly everyone has apologized and moved without issue. This was the rare exception. This was someone begging for consequences. So if you're the type who thinks you can flip off a homeowner and park wherever you want, remember, not every driveway ends in forgiveness. Some end in a tow truck and your uncle losing a Subaru. I feel sorry for the uncle. Was she borrowing his car for a bit? He just gave it away, essentially, because of his Karen niece. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.